Hey there, as promised, I made the time-lapse and star trailing tutorial, and in this tutorial I want to show you how I took the shots, how I edited the images, and how I made the star trailing, and then how I exported the photos to make the time-lapse. But before I went out shooting, the first thing that I did is I went to the location when during the daylight, because I wanted to see how the access was to that location, so that way it makes things easier when you get there at night. It's important to take a few things with you when you go out at night. It's really important to carry a headlamp because it's easier to see the settings on the camera, and also it's safer for you when you walk out there. And as you can see here on the field, it's just a bit of tall grass, and I carried some rubber boots just because there's a lot of bugs there, and it's easier to walk on the field with that. So I just went out there, and I was looking for some angles and where I could be setting my camera on when the night arrived. So this is the time-lapse and star trailing tutorial. So I just got to the location here. I already set the camera, and I take a few test shots to make the composition. Luckily I could focus because the sky is very bright, and I could focus on the stars themselves, so I'm sure I focused to infinity. And I'll show you the test shot that I just took. I pumped the ISO a lot just so I could have a really bright image, so I can see where the house is. There's a house there on the background, well, the foreground. I'll show you the shot right now, and after that let me show you the image. See if we can focus here. Okay, so you can see the image right here. Let me zoom in a bit and move it. See that house there? The sky is bright enough, so I think I like the composition already. I'll just double check that I'm leveled, and I'll start tweaking the camera settings and start taking the time lapse. I'm using, as you can see, a Photix remote control, and I'll use this to take the exposures. I will use I think I'll use 30-second exposures, and I'll start from there. I'll set no interval between shots because I want to use the same shots to make star trailing, so I don't want to have those gaps between the shots. We'll see. I'll make a few test shots, and I'll see what I will get. So it looks like I found the right settings. This is the settings that I'm using. So I'm having ISO 800, f3.2, and I'm shooting on bulb because I have I'm shooting on long. See here on my remote control, and I have an interval of 5 seconds. So I'm taking 40-second exposures, and then I have a 5 seconds interval between shots, and I'm shooting at, as I said, ISO 800, and I'm having the white balance set to incandescent light, I think it is. See if I can focus. It's really hard to focus at night. Well, anyways, these are the settings that I have on my camera. I'm taking the dark frame now with the same settings. I have the landscape on, as you can see. I'll take the shot, and then I'll have my dark frame, and I will use that when I make the star trailing and when editing the photos in Lightroom and in Photoshop or whatever software you're using. Of course, I'm shooting in RAW, and I'll set everything here, and I'll start taking as many shots as I can. This will be a long night, so I will get bored. I hope there's no animals around here because I'm alone. But anyways, that's it. These are the settings that I'm using, and I'll start shooting. So we'll see you back in Photoshop or in Lightroom to edit all of these shots. Okay, so here we are in Lightroom with all the photos loaded. I also have them edited, but I'll show how I edited the images. Okay, so for the time lapse I used let's see, 188 images, and it's interesting how the ambient light changed between well, this is the last image and this one is the first image. As you can see, it's has this magenta tone on it. And then I have this image, which is the dark frame, and I will use this image. I just zoomed in to 100% so you can see. I don't know if you can see it on the video. I'll zoom in a bit more. You can see this colored dots, and this is from the sensor. The way I took this dark frame is I put the lens cap on the lens, I covered the lens, and I took the shot with the same settings. These are not the same settings that I had on the video. You can see I was shooting at 2.8 at 40 seconds instead of 3.2 at 30 seconds, and I had an interval of 5 seconds because I had to give the camera time to process the image. That's why I set the interval to 5 seconds. But you have to take the dark frame using exactly the same settings that you will use to take your sequence of photos. Okay, and this is the noise that we will use to subtract when we go in Photoshop to make the star trail. And well, here are all the images. Let me show how I edited this. I will reset. This is the original shot, and you can see I didn't do too much editing on it. The only thing I did is I increased the shadows area. I want to add a bit more light on the foreground, because for the time lapse I will use all of these images to make the time lapse. But for the star trail, I took another image. It's here at the end, and I think it's this one. No, it's this one. I took this shot where the background is illuminated. I actually painted this with a flashlight. The lighting is not very good, but anyways, it's a lot better than this, at least in my opinion. So for the star trail, I will use this, and I'll use a layer mask to have the foreground. But for the time lapse, you cannot do it because each of these images has to be edited. Okay, so for that I increased a bit the exposure and a bit the shadows. Actually, what you can do is, let's try and use the this brush tool here. If you press the O key, you can see where you're painting. Okay, so let's use a brush like this, and if you want to remove some areas, just click the erase, and then you can subtract from here, but I don't know why it's not working in my case. And let's click done. Well, let's go back here, select it, and press the O key again so that mask disappears. And let's reset everything to 0 here, and we can increase the exposure only to this area. You have to be careful because you will end up, you have to be careful when you mask here, so you don't want to make it really, you have to be careful there. Maybe remove some of the magenta thing there. I'm doing it really quick. I just wanted to increase a bit the exposure here, and then I'll click done. And on the overall, I will probably increase the exposure on the overall image. If you want to tweak the white balance, you can do it on the whole image. I think I used a let's see, I think I used the gradient. Yeah, you can see I used this gradient here, so you can use the gradient to affect only the sky. Like so. This is the transition area. Okay, so this effect will end here on the top line, and we'll have a transition area here. And I think I decreased, well, I made the temperature a bit colder, and here depends on your taste, whatever you like. I will leave it like that. Probably increase the clarity, which will make more stars visible, and maybe decrease the shadows, or increase the contrast, make it a bit darker. Okay, you can see the stars are now standing out a little more before and after. See that? And I'll click OK. I'm doing it really quick. I will not synchronize this to all of the images, but I just want to show you how I edited this. Next, you have to be careful with the chromatic aberrations. I don't know if you can see it here on the image. On the edges of this house and on the mountains, there's some chromatic aberration. You can fix it in most cases just by checking the remove chromatic aberrations, or simply changing the amount here on the magenta and green, and you will get rid of that. You can see the noise here is quite visible. I used an ISO of 800. The noise is quite visible, but this is a 6000 by 4000 image, 4000 pixels image, and when we will make this time lapse, we'll make it smaller, so that way the noise will be compressed a bit and it will not be that visible. If you want to have less stars visible on your shot, use a lower ISO, and you can increase a bit the exposure time if you want, but using a lower ISO, you will get less noise and less stars visible. Only the brightest ones will be visible on your image. Okay, I like it how it is. So of course you can also use the clarity here. We can see that increases the amount of stars, but you can lower the blacks, see that, and you can use selective adjustments to only touch this part of the sky, but for my taste that's okay. We'll leave the shadows like that and maybe decrease a bit the highlights and the whites. This edit is not the same as this one. You can see how this one looks, but as I said, it depends on what you like. So another thing that you can do is increase a bit the sharpening. I usually do it just a bit, and then decrease the noise, well, increase a bit the noise reduction just to take away some of the noise, not much. And let's see what we can do with the detail. Yeah, and a bit the contrast. That's a really quick edit. And on night shots, usually the color noise is really visible, so make sure you increase that a bit, because on dark images color noise is a lot more visible. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, if I decrease this to 0, see how much color noise we have here. Just by increasing this a bit, it will go away. Okay, and once you're done with your first image, what you need to do, if you want to export this for a time lapse and you want to have your crop, you want to crop the image for an HD format, I usually make it a 4K format because I have a big enough image that can be used for that. What you do is go here on the crop, and here where it says as shot, you can change this to 16:9, which is the HD format, and then you'll have to sacrifice part of the image, but that way you'll have your format like that. And then when you're done, what you have to do is select the first image, go to your last image. So if we can find it, select it, press and hold the shift key and click the last image, and here you see the sync button. You click it and you check all, and then just click synchronize, and Lightroom will apply the same edits to all of your images. And that's how I edited all of the images, all of these images in one shot. You don't have to do it manually for each of the images. For the star trail, if you want to make the star trail, what I did is I kept the same edits, but I did not crop the image because I wanted to crop that in Photoshop after I make the star trail. Okay, so exporting all of the images takes time. In Lightroom takes about, in my computer, about 10 minutes or something like that, so I will not export the images again. I will just go to Photoshop and show you how I made the star trail, and then we'll take care of show you how I made the time lapse. So for the star trail, you don't need all of your images. You don't need 200 images. I just used 61 images for this particular image. These are exported from Lightroom. You can see this is the dark frame, and this is the rest of the images. So 60 images plus the dark frame. You can see the planes I had. Well, you'll find it on your images as well. Planes passing by, which ruins your image. We'll remove this in Photoshop. But it also depends on your exposure time. If you take longer exposures, you will need less photos. This is our 40-second exposure, so with 60 images, I got enough. So what I will do now is go into Photoshop, and I want to load all of the 60 images into one document as layers. So I'll go to File, choose Scripts, and choose Load Files into Stack. You can also use Bridge if you want, but I don't want to use Bridge. So click on Browse, locate your folder, and these are all the images that I want to load, except the dark frame. So I'll deselect this one and click Open. I will not check Attempt to automatically align source images because I took this with a tripod, so there's no movement. And if you check this, it will take a bit longer to process. And I don't want to create any smart object because I want to have all of the layers into their own channel, into their own layer. So now I'll have to wait until Photoshop opens all of these images. All the images are now loaded into Photoshop, and making the start trail is actually really easy. All you need to do is select the first layer, scroll down to the bottom, select not the last, but the one that's before the last image, okay, and change their blend mode to lighten. And there you have it. This is the start trail. We have a few things to fix here. The first thing we want to do is remove all of these lines here caused by the planes. See that? And for this particular image, there are too many stars. I pumped the ISO too high, so I would probably prefer having less lines here, so just the main stars. But anyways, let me show how you can remove these lines from here. What you do is you have a bit of work here because you have to do it manually. So what you do is deactivate the visibility of all of the layers by pressing and holding the Alt key and clicking on this eye icon on the bottom layer, and then start enabling layers until you start to see lines. See here, this one, have these two lines here, and I used the spot healing brush tool for that. Do not use a big brush, use a small brush, and just paint over it like so, and it's gone. Activate the next layer and do the same. If you have straight lines, what you can do is click once on the beginning of the line, press and hold the Shift key, and click on the other side of it, and that's it. And activate another layer. Check your image. Nothing there. Activate another one. No signs of airplanes. Activate another one, and here we have one. Here we have to remove it manually, like so. It's gone. Reduce zoom, activate another one, and then another one, and that's the process. This is the slowest thing to do here. This is not an airplane, this is actually a meteorite, so I will not remove that. Check another one. So I'll do it, see another one here. What I will do is do it quick here, just because I don't want to spend too much time here. So I'll fast forward, and when I'm done, we'll continue. Okay, so I removed pretty much all the airplane trails that I could find. I still have this one, but anyways, I could have used more images because you can see we have a few gaps here, and but for this tutorial that works. And now I have all of the images here. I flattened some of them because it was hard to work with. So what I will do now is select all of them and flatten everything by pressing Ctrl Command A, and that will reduce also the size of the document, and it will be Photoshop will work a little faster. And now you can edit this separately. What I will do is probably add some levels, and I'm just looking at the sky. I want to make it darker a bit. Something like that. As I said, there are too many stars, too many lines here, and that's not looking the way I like. But anyways, and now with this layer mask, I will use maybe a 70% or 60% brush and remove this. But anyways, as I said, actually it's not even necessary to do it because I have another image which I'll use for the foreground. I'll go back to Lightroom and locate that image which I added using exactly the same crop. Let's see if I can find it. This one. So what I'll do is edit it in Photoshop by right-clicking on it. Well, I didn't crop it yet, but so this is the image that I will use for the foreground. Edit, copy, and I'll paste it here on top of my other image. What I will do is try and see if I can match it, because for some reason I think I moved a bit the tripod or something. Okay, change it back to normal. Okay, and now I will use a layer mask. I'll create this layer mask and paint over the sky here because I want to have the star trail. I will not leave this at 100%. I will decrease a bit the opacity to about 60%, so we have a bit of a better blending, a bit more natural, because the light that I painted was not really that good. So but now the foreground looks okay. And what I will do now is select everything and flatten the image again. And now let's take care of the dark frame. Let's go back into Photoshop, to Lightroom, sorry. Let's locate our dark frame here. Let's make sure that it's not cropped, and I'll right click on it and edit it in Photoshop CS6. I edited exactly the same as the other shots, so this is my dark frame. Copy, close it, and paste it on top of my image. If I zoom into 100%, as you can see, the noise is there, and what I want to show you is that actually it is exactly the same noise that we have on the other shots. See these pixels here? If I check this, you can see them. The problem is that I probably shouldn't have edited this image because I lost a bit of detail. And the way you work with this is, after you paste this on top of your image, is change the blend mode to difference. And what you do is remove most of those pixels and most of the noise, but you get color problems here. Okay, so you should probably decrease the opacity to about, let's say, 50% or something like that. There is another way of getting rid of this, and on the camera itself, depending on the camera that you have, I'm using a Nikon D70-100, and there's an option that's called long exposure noise reduction. And what you do is it takes the dark frame, the camera itself, and it blends the images, and it removes the noise a lot more effectively than Photoshop does. But the problem with that is that if you're taking a long exposure, for example 30 seconds, the dark frame will also take 30 seconds to be taken, and that increases the exposure time of a single photo to about 1 minute, and that will in 1 hour you will be ending up taking 60 photos, which is half of what you could if you're not activating this option. But it depends on what you want to do. What you can do is, for this last image, you can take the dark frame and activate the long exposure noise reduction on the camera only for this image when you're done. But anyways, if any particular part of the image is too visible, you can use the spot healing brush tool and just remove that if it's really problematic. But it removes most of the noise and it does a pretty good job. So this one is not a good job here. So you have to retouch your image a bit. Working with long exposures at night gives you this kind of problems. And I think I will remove only this ones, where the most visible ones, at least. It's a lot worse without having it, so without having this dark frame, so I think it works pretty nice. Okay, again, I'll flatten everything, and from here you can edit whatever you want. You can use gradient maps if you want to make your own color effects, but I prefer not to do it. I like to leave the image as natural as possible. Maybe tweaking a bit the levels to make it brighter, just to increase the contrast a bit, and that's pretty much it. If you want to make this same effect, you can also use another software which is called Star Stacks. Okay, and let me show you how that works as well if you want. This is for the time lapse. Start stacks. Let's again load these images, all of them. Select the dark frame, go into star stacks, put them there. You can choose gap filling if you want, and here you can see an explanation of what this does. And the gap filling says creates a star trail images with minimal gaps. You can reduce the amount of gaps that you have. You can decrease that if you have a lower interval between shots. Okay, so let's click subtract dark images, process images. Well, we will not activate the comet mode, even though it's a good effect. Let's open the dark frames, which is this one, and process the images. I will show you both with the comet and without the comet mode on. Let's click process, and you can see how the software works. It does exactly like the same thing that we're doing in Photoshop. The problem here is that you cannot remove those airplane trails unless you do it in Photoshop and then bring the photos here in Star Stacks. I'll fast forward and show you the result. Okay, so this is the result. Actually, I think that some of these gaps here appear because the images are not in order. You can see it goes from 1 to 10, and I think that maybe it's because of that, and I'm not sure. But try to put them in order here. Here you can reduce the amount of gap using this threshold, and if you can check the show threshold overlay, and then increase the threshold until only the stars are tinted by this green light, like so, and then increase the amount, and the software will try to reduce the amount of gaps that you have between the stars. But well, anyways, let's leave it like it is, and this is the result, exactly the same. But you can do it in Photoshop as well, and you can remove the airplanes from there. Let's see the job that it did, reducing those the noise here using the dark frame. You can see it's a lot worse than in Photoshop, so at least in my opinion. But anyways, you can use whatever method you like. this is the image. Obviously in Photoshop I will decrease the size of this to about 2000 pixels. That way I can use it as a screenshot, well, as a wallpaper on my computer, and you can see when you reduce the size, most of the noise is gone, and the only thing you have left are the stars. In this particular image, there are too many. For the next session, I will use a lower ISO maybe, and have less stars visible, because that's too much for my taste. And regarding the time lapse, I used exactly the same images. The only difference is, as I said, that I cropped this. So I used the 16:9 and I cropped it like that. Done. I resynchronized everything and re-exported the images. And the reason why I exported the images is because I used another software. It's called Sequence. I just have the trial version. I did not purchase it, but it works really good because let me show you. You can remove flickering because it has this flicker option, and what it does is makes the light a lot more even, and you can see it's really quick. You can do it instantly. And saving the video, once you have the images edited, you can make the time lapse in no time. Just click here, then choose your frame rate, and then export the video to the format that you want. And you also have the 4K format, and just click next, and you will export the video in about 30 seconds or maybe even less. And it creates a good result. You can see the lighting will have no flickering because of this option that we checked. In Lightroom, you can go here on the slideshow and select all the images that you want to have on your time lapse. Let's say I want to use these images, and you can download some templates from the internet. They are free. Just search for Lightroom time-lapse presets, and you'll find a website where you can download them and put them on the correct folder, and you'll have them here. And from here you can export the video, choose your format, your size, and then export this. I'm not sure if these are the only ones available, or I don't know, but you cannot export it in 4K using these presets, as I see, but you can get a good result as well in Lightroom. So that's all for today. I hope you liked this, and I hope it was instructive. If you liked it, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you get nice images, you can post your images on Instagram or your social networks, and use the hashtag PSDbox, and those will appear on our social wall on our website. So that's all for now. Andre here from PSDbox. See you next time.